And what are we really?
He says, really, the only thing that matters, he says, is the self.
How does a person become aware of the self? How do you get to know the self and what it is?
It grows through honesty of mind, sincerity of spirit, and detachment. People think one thing, say another, and do something entirely different. That's dishonesty of mind. Do what you think, be what you think, be who you are, and don't follow other people, don't imitate.
What do you mean by sincerity of spirit?
It is to be sincere to what you actually believe, what you actually experience moment to moment in life, and to be your own man, in a word, or woman. And detachment is the process whereby you become more and more detached from the illusion that you are the body, that you are this set of emotions, that you are the mind, the constructions of the mind are you. You say, I say to you, what are you? I say, oh, I'm a communist. I've been a member of the party for 25 years. You're not a communist. There's no such thing as a communist. There are only people who believe in this mental concept, which we call republicanism or capitalism or communism or whatever. He says these isms are drugs. He said, get away from these isms and be who you are, the divine self. He says you can become aware sometimes that there is something behind you, around you, that you're not alone, that you're involved in some living presence. That is the self. That is the Almighty.
What has yet to happen before most of the world, or if not all the world, sees Maitreya?
He has predicted a world stock market crash, which he said will begin in Japan, and it's already beginning in Japan. And he says this will bring humanity to its senses. It will bring a whole new set of priorities to bear. All governments eventually will have to subscribe to it. The first is the provision of adequate, right food for all the people. Two, the provision of adequate housing and shelter for all the people. Three, the provision of adequate health care and education as a universal right.
What about people who don't get the message or who don't choose to accept it? Is anything going to happen to them?
Well,
they don't go along with it?
They'll be left behind, that's all. Nothing terrible is going to happen to them, except that they will step back from the progression of humanity and slow up their own evolution, that's all. Then they'll die eventually and come back again under the law of reincarnation or the law of rebirth and start maybe this time under better conditions and a better education, and will find themselves perfectly easy to fit into the thing again.
There are some people who, in hearing about the return of the Christ, or reappearance as you call it, the second coming, say that prophecy says we're going to see some signals of this outwardly.
His coming doesn't depend on the signs, but the signs are there for the faithful to kindle the imagination and the intuition that maybe indeed this is the time for the coming of the Christ. So, for instance, all over the world there are manifestations of the Madonna. At Medjugorje, in Italy, in this country, and many other parts of the world. These are created as thought forms, visions, by the Master who was the Madonna. The mother of Jesus 2,000 years ago is now a great master. These are created by that master. In this country here, right now, in El Monte, there has appeared some 20 or more crosses in windows, suddenly appearing that were not there before. These crosses emanate energy. People are converted. They have physical and emotional and mental healings as a result. And that's just another of the signs. But if you look at what's happening on the political field in the world, the demand for freedom and democracy, which is sweeping the world, not only in East Germany and the Eastern Bloc, but across the world. Even the states of America, he says, will demand their own independence. Not to break away from the Union, but to be independent within the Union. And this has already started. Places like Vermont are asking for their independence. I was in Dallas just a few days ago, and there's even a part of Dallas which wants independence from Dallas. This demand for independence and freedom and so on is coming to the hearts of everybody around. That's the result of the energy which he pours into the world, which creates this demand for self-expression, for self-identity.
If someone on hearing about this has some level of belief that what you're saying is true, what would you suggest they do about it?
You can say, you know, I kind of believe this, or I don't know if I believe it or not, but I think it could be possible. Or, well, I'd say 5% I believe it, and 95% I have an open mind. But whatever the percentage of belief is, make it known at that level. You don't need to be 100% sure in order to say, you know, I heard this guy talking about. That's all you need to do. That helps to create the climate in which he can the more quickly emerge into the open arena of the world.
What has to happen, and how will all of the rest of us who have not yet seen him see him, and how are we going to know that he is who you say he is?
When we invite him forward. He's creating the conditions which, if they are carried out according to plan, will make a great demand in the world for a sight of him. And when this demand is loud enough, the media responding enough, he will hold a great press conference within the media to which he will present his credentials and expects then to be invited to speak to the whole world, now avowedly as the world teacher. That will be the day of declaration. That will be an extraordinary day. The television networks of the world will be linked together by satellite, which are there for this purpose. All eyes will see him, as it says in the Bible. For the only way in which it is possible for that Bible prophecy to be fulfilled, all eyes will see him, wherever you have television. But he won't actually speak. He would say a word, but his thoughts, ideas, his call to humanity for justice, for sharing, for brotherhood, and therefore for peace, will take place silently, telepathically. And each of us will hear him inwardly in our own language. At the same time, his energy, the Christ principle, the Christ consciousness, the second aspect of the divinity, will flow through the hearts of all humanity. He said it will be as if I embrace mankind. And he said people will feel it even physically. And this will bring about an intuitive, heartfelt response to the message. And at the same time, on the outer physical plane, there will be hundreds of thousands of spontaneous miracle cures all over the planet. And in these three ways, you will know that that one is the world teacher.